Ready?
We got a really nice compliment from Dean over here the other day. He was like, "You guys got some really nice cows over there." He was like, "Yeah, those are better."
So we're right here, and then this was the next fence post, so I tap on that and it gives a straight line route.
Watching the lines. It's a nice morning. This was crop field, I'm just saying. I'm just like, I'm pumped.
Ooh, there's new stuff, like new grasses. It's looking healthier than I've ever seen it. When we came to Wallace, the grand experiment was to put up a fence around a big cornfield, then stock it with animals and use holistic grazing to see how fast we could return it to a grassland by restoring the original ecosystem that was broken with the removal of the bison. We also wanted to provide a financial pathway that would be replicable for others to make the transition.
She's kind of my right-hand horse right now. Actually, she's my daughter's.
We are here trying to explore possible answers to the question of what is Kansas's environmental future. And I think this project is a significant model for addressing a lot of the major challenges environmentally, but I think also socially.
Very rarely do people want to be the first or the only ones doing something. The Provenance has taken some big risks. You guys are outsiders. You weren't from there. You're trying something radically different for the area. What I do is I interview farmers. I was presenting some work about Kansas farmers. I forget if it was Harvard or Yale. I was describing meat co-ops and all the things that get celebrated as food systems resilience. And somebody stopped me in the middle of my presentation. They raised their hand and they're like, "Wait, this is happening in Kansas?"
So what's the prognosis?
Something is suppressing growth here. See how it stayed smooth? That's plow pan. It's like concrete. Water can't penetrate that, roots can't penetrate that. What that says about the level of destruction this ecology has experienced is profound.
When it rains, how much water you actually capture.
We're going to be able to tell that right now. The worst he's ever seen. The rain's not going in the ground here, that's for sure. Yeah.
Oh.
We can only go up from there.
The cows are adding the biology. They're helping break the plow pan. Holy shit. It's gone. The plow pan's gone. That is beautiful.
And we started with, who recognizes this? Corn stalks, 3 years ago, right?
When you start talking about how water moves through the soil profile, living roots make channels, and so when it rains, like it has been, it rushes into those air gaps, and then it can slowly move through the soil profile by capillary action. higher a rainfall event you can absorb without runoff, which in these soils is critical because we get less frequent, heavier rainfall events. And as climate change progresses, that becomes more true.
In Kansas, as you go west, it gets drier. But there's an aquifer, which we're mining consistently and have been for decades, which is not being replenished.
At the state legislative level, there's support for conventional ag. Subsidies go to more water use, more grain, dairy, feedlot over the Ogallala Aquifer. At this time, right now, and at the same time we're talking about existing water shortages.
We're starting to see these real consequences. It's not that people don't know the evidence, they don't know about the ecology, it's that it doesn't matter. Large-scale agriculture, that's a hard system to break out of. The bank won't go along with it. Maybe the family won't go along with it. The neighbors. It can feel, because it is, a really heavy lift. What is it gonna mean in western Kansas when we can't irrigate corn and wheat and have feedlots? It's really difficult to imagine what that place looks like without that.
Made their way through, everybody else is following. Pretty damn easy so far. A whole lot of nothing growing up here. Yeah, lots of bare soil.
We've come a long way in 4 years. The transition is hard. This environment is unforgiving.
This just happened very suddenly.
Brian, was there anything about supplies?
I talked to you about dust goggles. Sometimes I go home and I feel like I got razor blades in my eyes.
And it's getting to the point where the calves are having a hard time reaching it. 103 today.
Just the feeling of isolation. You hear my words, but you don't have the visceral experience of what it's like to be in this position.
Traditionally, you're expected to go it alone. It's a very independent profession, but that means you're taking on tremendous personal and financial risk. Farming is a profession with a high rate of suicide. We wanted to challenge that system. Working as a team helps mitigate that risk and provides support for all of us.
Was there a tornado, first of all?
It's very loud. No tornado.
We've learned how the land responds. We've had to adjust as we go.
Watch out, watch out.
And we've had to trust that there was something on the other side of the transition that was worth getting to.
We've got some grasses coming in. Woo! We've never seen a worm out here.
Have you not?
I've never seen a worm.
You guys, good job. Life. That's your 90-day welcome gift.
Did you open it? Ooh.
First of all, I'm delivering the foundations of holistic management curriculum. So for some of you, it's a repeat. For some of you, it's brand new. We are crossing over. The place is now a perennial grassland, and that's what we're managing.
It's beautiful to be working with grass now. It's not like peak prairie ecosystem, but it's what we're shooting for now as far as managing it, especially the first 2 years. There were no perennial grasses to be concerned with. It was a lot of tumbleweed management. But as that transition started, those two things kind of came into conflict. And so if we're always managing for tumbleweed, then these perennial grasses are never going to be able to thrive in this system. We finally hit that tipping point. We're definitely managing for a perennial grassland now. It's really important to be adaptable, and we do that by observing and adjusting the grazing plan based on the conditions. And that's always the case. I think there's just so much complexity involved in it that there's always going to be something that shifts year by year.
Do you think that'll continue to be the case?
I hope so. I mean, that keeps it exciting.
When we started 4 years ago, we thought we were responding to the climate crisis. Now we've learned we're also responding to a water crisis, and that feels even more urgent as these communities are on their final years of water from this aquifer.
Well, I was growing up, the Dust Bowl was looked at as a natural event, you know, just something that happened that was unfortunate, right? The big drought is what it's called.
The sun and winds wrote the most tragic chapter in American agriculture.
It's not called the Great Plowing. It's not called human-caused climate change. Uncovering the grasslands throughout the high plains accentuated the extent of that drought. I think where it kind of got ignored is that a lot of technology came in, better mechanical equipment and commercial fertilizer. So by the late 1940s, agriculture resumed throughout the Dust Bowl area. So these areas became more productive. You don't look at what's been discounted or what's been ignored, like biodiversity or pollution problems or lack of water.
So ecologically, would you say we've been living on borrowed time?
Feels that way, yes, yes. A large part of the high plains is going to need to change.
Do you see those kinds of changes being possible in time to make a difference?
That is the question, isn't it? I do.
I was trying to explain the history.
Has been here. Because you were how old when you were up here?
14.
Still farm ground. You know, but I was just telling these guys, I don't ever remember watering this pond. I had permission to hunt up here, and I love to hunt, so I was up here a lot. Like I said, I don't remember water being in this pond.
When's the first time you saw water in this pond?
I think it was 23. When we looked at the property in 2020, we were like, is that a pond dam? Like, there was so little evidence of water.
I mean, you are literally on the edge of what we call the Ogallala here, because it's all been eroded away. And so these springs that probably fed that water for the old timers year round, even in drought, was coming from the aquifer being discharged. And as we've dropped that water table, we've broken that connection.
Do you feel like this is coming up from the bottom, or do you feel like it's coming off the top?
Yes.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Yeah, how about that? Yeah. But obviously with the dam, you're going to catch some of the surface runoff. But in order for that to stay there, it's got to first fill up all that stuff that's below it for you to see it. And so that might be a good sign.
As we've gained expertise in regenerative grazing to restore grasslands, we found that there is tremendous resilience on the other side of that transition. We look forward now to a regenerative food production future.
It's really easy for people who live in cities stick our head in the sands and just pretend that climate change is not happening. And I think that time is past. They were renovating a building of the Dust Bowl era. Behind the plaster and the brick is filled with dust. That was in between the walls. Talking about the ecology of places, like, you know, soil smells like something. This doesn't. It's dead. It's a good reminder.
What not to do.
Yeah. I start every semester saying I'm a sociologist. We study power, inequity, and an environmental studies professor. By some rights, I could be the most depressed person on campus, and I'm not. Part of that is, in spite of all these terrible things, there are people that wake up every day trying to make the world a better place. Baby. And oftentimes in very small ways. That might be just old ideas being tried out in a new era. We actually have almost all the knowledge to fix the biggest problems we have. I think it's important to understand the tragedy that's around us every day, but it doesn't have to be one tragic story. Resting on my mind.
Oh, one of them just came off. We're waiting till the trucks are empty. Which will be... Boy, I hope before dark.
65, 61, 413 left. You gotta turn the radio on in the truck.
Davis looking, finding love. With
he has the ball.
Backs it out with we jump started our way through a pandemic and then
This is getting worse.
I can't hear anything now.
take a hopping up the floor on one leg. At the right time. Well, the game's on the line. This is Ranger.
Some on my face too. That's all.
Nobody said it'd be easy to win a national championship.
Nobody did.
It has not been.
Wow.
Back to work.
Woo! Woo! Rock